Tonight, we begin a quiet journey toward one of the most vast and mysterious places on Earth, the world beneath the ocean. Marine biology is the study of life in the sea, from sunlit surface waters to the deeper regions where light slowly fades into darkness. Beneath the waves lies a world that operates by different rules. Here, life moves with the currents, shifts with the rhythm of the tides, and responds to the quiet pull of the moon. Some creatures travel across entire oceans, crossing distances greater than continents. Others remain in one place, patiently shaping the seafloor over centuries. In some corners, bodies glow like distant stars. In others, life breathes comfortably in complete darkness. The ocean is not simply an expanse of water. It is connected to our climate, to the air we breathe, and to the invisible systems that help keep life on Earth in balance. It is a place of discovery and quiet wonder, where even the most ordinary-looking creature can hold extraordinary secrets. But for now, there is nothing you need to analyze or remember. Simply let your shoulders relax, allow your breathing to remain natural, and let your mind grow still. Because now, together, we are going to drift slowly beneath the waves. Perfect. Before we think about the ocean, let us simply imagine floating, not swimming, not moving with effort, just floating, weightless, supported on all sides by cool, steady water. The surface above glows faintly with filtered light, and below you stretches a depth so vast it feels endless. There is no rush here, only quiet motion. Marine biology is the study of life in this immense, moving world. But the ocean is not a single uniform space. It is layered, structured, and constantly shifting. Temperature changes with depth, pressure increases gradually, light fades in stages. Each layer creates its own conditions and life adjusts accordingly. Near the surface, sunlight fuels microscopic organisms called phytoplankton. They drift freely, carried by currents, turning light into energy. Though invisible to the naked eye, they form the base of nearly every ocean food web. Small fish graze upon them. Larger fish hunt the smaller ones. In this way, entire ecosystems begin with organisms no wider than a grain of dust. As we drift farther from shore, open water replaces reefs and coastlines. Here, some animals travel extraordinary distances. Certain species of fish, turtles, and whales migrate across entire ocean basins, guided by subtle cues in temperature, Earth's magnetic field, and shifting currents. These migrations are not random. They follow ancient pathways shaped by survival and reproduction. Water itself shapes every body within it. Because it is denser than air, movement requires efficiency. Many marine animals are streamlined, minimizing resistance as they glide. Fins act as stabilizers. Flexible spines create propulsion. Even large creatures move with surprising grace, conserving energy across long journeys. As light filters downward, colors begin to disappear. Red fades first, then orange and yellow, until only shades of blue remain. Below a certain depth, sunlight no longer penetrates at all, yet life continues. In darker waters, some animals rely less on sight and more on vibration, sound, or chemical signals to understand their surroundings. Sound travels farther underwater than it does through air. Low frequencies can move across remarkable distances. For many marine animals, hearing is more reliable than vision. Communication becomes a matter of rhythm and tone rather than visible gestures. And still, despite its distance from land, the ocean is not separate from us. It regulates climate by absorbing heat. It influences weather patterns across continents. The oxygen produced by marine microorganisms becomes part of every breath we take. For now, let your breathing remain slow and natural. Imagine yourself suspended peacefully in this layered world. Above you, faint light shimmers. Around you, life moves quietly, adapted perfectly to its environment. There is no need to hurry deeper. The ocean reveals itself gradually. We have only entered its uppermost layers. Beneath us, other regions wait in patient silence, shaped by pressure, darkness, and time. Drift a little further. We will continue. As we descend a little farther, the light above softens into a pale blue haze. The surface is still there, but it feels distant now, like a memory rather than a place. Around us, the water grows cooler. Pressure increases gently, pressing in from every direction, steady and constant. This region of the ocean is often called the sunlit zone. It is where most visible marine life gathers because sunlight still reaches here. Coral reefs, drifting schools of fish, and open-water hunters all share this illuminated layer. Energy from the sun fuels the entire system, and movement is steady but unhurried. Coral reefs, though they resemble rock formations, are built by tiny animals called polyps. Each polyp creates a hard skeleton beneath itself, and over generations, these skeletons stack into vast underwater cities. Within the small crevices and arches, fish find shelter. Crustaceans search for scraps. Predators patrol the edges. What appears solid and still is actually alive with quiet cooperation. Farther from reefs, in open water, schools of fish move as if guided by a single thought. They shift direction in smooth waves, flashing silver as they turn. This synchronized motion helps reduce confusion and offers protection. A predator finds it harder to focus on one target when hundreds move together. Among these shifting shapes swim animals designed for endurance. Sea turtles glide slowly, conserving energy as they travel across entire oceans. Some will return years later to the very beach where they first hatched, guided in part by subtle magnetic cues in Earth's field. Their journeys unfold across thousands of miles, yet they navigate with remarkable precision. Sharks move differently. Their bodies are structured for steady propulsion, and their senses extend beyond sight and smell. Special receptors allow them to detect faint electrical signals produced by muscle movement in other animals. Even hidden prey leaves a trace in the water. For a shark, the ocean is filled with information invisible to us. As we sink closer to the boundary where sunlight weakens, colors grow muted. Reds vanish first, absorbed by water. Orange and yellow follow. Blue lingers longest, which is why the ocean appears blue from above. In these changing tones, some animals develop camouflage that matches the fading light, blending seamlessly into their surroundings. Despite the calm appearance, this layer is part of a larger circulation system. Surface currents connect continents. Warm water travels from equatorial regions toward the poles, carrying heat that shapes climate patterns far beyond the sea. The ocean's movement influences storms, rainfall, and seasonal change on land. Pause here for a moment. Feel the steady pressure, the gentle drift of water. Life surrounds you, adapted perfectly to shifting light and constant motion. Nothing struggles against the ocean. It adjusts, refines, and continues. Below us lies the twilight zone, where sunlight thins into shadow. Creatures there will rely less on sight and more on subtle signals. The descent becomes quieter from here. Let yourself drift downward. We will move gently into deeper waters. Now we cross into the twilight zone. Above us, sunlight has thinned into a dim glow. It no longer warms the water in the same way. Instead, it filters faintly downward, just enough to suggest the passing of day and night. Shapes become silhouettes. Colors dissolve into muted blues and soft grays. This middle region of the ocean stretches vast and wide across the planet. Though it seems empty at first glance, it holds an extraordinary abundance of life. Many of its inhabitants are small, delicate, and nearly transparent. Their bodies are designed not to be seen. Visibility is a risk here. Animals that stand out become targets, so evolution favors subtlety. Some species are silvered, reflecting what little light remains. Others are nearly invisible, their tissues clear as glass. A few produce faint glows of their own, not bright flashes, but gentle pulses that blend with dim surroundings. Each evening, something remarkable begins. As darkness settles at the surface, countless animals rise from deeper waters toward the faint light above. Small fish, shrimp-like crustaceans, and gelatinous drifters ascend together in what is known as the daily vertical migration. It is one of the largest movements of life on Earth, measured not by size of individuals, but by number. They rise to feed under cover of night. When morning approaches, they descend again into shadow, reducing their exposure to predators that hunt by sight. This steady up and down rhythm acts almost like a heartbeat for the ocean. It redistributes nutrients. It transfers carbon from the surface downward. It shapes entire food webs. In these depths, sound becomes more important than sight. Water carries low frequencies efficiently, allowing calls and vibrations to travel great distances. Some fish produce soft drumming noises. Others create faint clicks. Communication does not need volume here. It needs clarity. Pressure continues to increase as we drift lower. Every 10 meters adds more weight, pressing gently against bodies adapted to withstand it. Human lungs would struggle here without protection, yet marine life adjusts naturally. Flexible tissues and specialized chemistry allow survival in conditions that would otherwise seem extreme. Occasionally, larger shapes pass through the twilight zone. Tuna and squid hunt within its dim expanse. Whales dive through these layers during deep feeding journeys, their immense bodies moving slowly and deliberately. During such dives, a whale's heartbeat can slow dramatically, conserving oxygen while navigating cold darkness. Even here, far from shore, the ocean remains connected to global systems. The movement of animals, the cycling of nutrients, and the steady sinking of organic matter all contribute to regulating Earth's atmosphere over long periods of time. Pause again. Notice how quiet this world feels. Not silent, but softened. Movements are measured. Light is gentle. Life adapts without urgency. Below us lies true darkness, where sunlight no longer reaches at all. We will continue downward, slowly, calmly, into deeper waters where entirely different strategies for survival begin to emerge. Drift a little farther. There is no need to hurry. Now the last traces of sunlight disappear. Above us, the twilight has faded into complete darkness. There is no horizon here, no outline of surface or sky. The water is cold, heavy, and still. We have entered the deep ocean, a region that makes up the largest habitat on Earth. At first, it may seem empty, but wait. In the darkness, small lights begin to appear. A faint blue shimmer flickers in the distance, then another and another. These are not reflections, they are living signals. Many deep-sea animals produce their own light through a process called bioluminescence. Chemical reactions inside specialized organs create soft glows, flashes, or pulses. Some animals use light to lure prey closer, dangling glowing tips like quiet fishing lines. Others flash suddenly to startle predators or to confuse them in moments of danger. In a world without sunlight, light becomes language. Some species glow along their undersides to match faint traces of light filtering from above, disguising their silhouettes from hunters below. Others communicate with patterned pulses unique to their species. In the deep ocean, brightness is rarely wasted. Every flicker serves a purpose. Pressure here is immense. It presses from all directions, constant and unrelenting. At depths of several thousand meters, the force is powerful enough to crush unprotected structures. Yet deep-sea animals are not built like creatures of the surface. Their bodies are flexible. Their bones, if present at all, are light and delicate. Many lack air-filled spaces that would collapse under pressure. Movement becomes slower in this cold environment. Energy is precious. Food is scarce and often arrives from above in the form of drifting organic particles, sometimes called marine snow. This gentle snowfall of fragments sustains countless organisms that wait patiently on the seafloor. Some creatures here appear almost unreal. Fish with oversized jaws and needle-like teeth drift quietly, conserving strength for rare feeding opportunities. Gelatinous animals pulse softly, nearly invisible except for faint glimmers along their edges. Even in darkness, diversity thrives. Sound still travels, even here. Low vibrations move across distances beyond sight. Though the deep feels isolated, it is connected by subtle signals and slow currents that circulate nutrients through the entire ocean system. Imagine yourself suspended in this quiet depth. No sudden movements, no sharp edges of light, only darkness softened by occasional living sparks. The water holds you evenly, steady, and calm. Despite its remoteness, this deep world plays a role in stabilizing Earth's climate. It stores heat and carbon over long timescales, buffering changes that might otherwise be more extreme. The deep ocean is not detached from life at the surface. It is part of the same continuous system. Let your breathing remain slow. Below us, the seafloor approaches, shaped by volcanoes, ridges, and trenches formed over millions of years. We will descend a little further toward landscapes few have ever seen. Drift gently downward. The seafloor begins to emerge from the darkness below. At first, it appears as a faint suggestion of shape, a subtle change in texture beneath us. Then, gradually, contours become clearer. Ridges stretch across the landscape like the spines of sleeping giants. Valleys dip into shadow. In some places, the ground opens into vast plains of soft sediment, smooth and undisturbed. This is not a flat, lifeless bottom. The ocean floor holds mountain ranges longer than those on land. Mid-ocean ridges curve across the planet like seams on a living sphere. Here, tectonic plates slowly pull apart and molten rock rises from below, forming new crust. Over time, these ridges create fresh seafloor, expanding the ocean basin millimeter by millimeter. Elsewhere, deep trenches descend even farther, marking places where one plate slides beneath another. These trenches are among the deepest locations on Earth, shaped by immense forces that move too slowly for us to feel. Life adapts even here. Scattered across sediment plains are sea cucumbers, gently processing the soft bottom as they feed. They consume organic material that has drifted down from above, recycling nutrients back into the ecosystem. Some species possess an extraordinary ability. When threatened, they can expel portions of their internal organs as a distraction. Over time, they regenerate what was lost. Survival here sometimes depends on patience rather than speed. Starfish move with quiet determination across the seafloor, guided by hundreds of tiny tube feet. Crabs patrol rocky outcrops, sensing vibrations in the water. Even in stillness, there is constant, subtle activity. In certain regions, something far more dramatic occurs. Hydrothermal vents release mineral-rich water heated by magma beneath the crust. Around these vents, entire ecosystems thrive without sunlight. Instead of relying on photosynthesis, specialized bacteria use chemical reactions to produce energy. This process, called chemosynthesis, forms the base of a web food entirely independent of the sun. Giant tube worms cluster near vent openings, their red plumes extending into warm currents. Blind shrimp gather nearby, feeding on microbial growth. These communities demonstrate that life can flourish under conditions once thought impossible. The seafloor also shapes ocean currents above it. Underwater mountains and ridges redirect flowing water, lifting nutrients upward and creating hotspots of biological activity. Geography beneath the waves influences life far beyond what we can see from shore. Pause here. Imagine hovering just above the seabed, weightless in this vast, dark landscape. There is no wind, no rustling leaves, only the slow movement of water and the faint stirring of distant creatures. Though hidden from view, the ocean floor is not silent or static. It is a dynamic foundation supporting life from the smallest microbe to the largest whale. We have traveled from sunlight to darkness, from drifting plankton to deep-sea vents. Yet even now, the ocean still holds more to reveal. Let yourself remain suspended in this quiet depth. We will continue exploring its living systems, slowly and calmly as the journey unfolds.
From the stillness of the sea floor, let us rise slightly into open water once more, where movement returns in slow, deliberate patterns. Even in the deep ocean, life does not remain fixed in one place. Currents flow steadily, carrying nutrients, larvae, and drifting organisms across vast distances. These underwater rivers are guided by differences in temperature and salinity, forming a global circulation system, sometimes called the ocean conveyor. Though invisible, it links polar seas to tropical waters in a continuous exchange. Some creatures depend entirely on these currents. Jellyfish pulse gently, but they also surrender to the flow, allowing water to determine their path. Their bodies are mostly water themselves, soft and translucent, built for drifting rather than resisting. Certain species possess a remarkable biological trait. Under stress, they can revert from a mature stage back to an earlier form of life, essentially restarting part of their development. It is not immortality, but it reshapes how we understand aging and survival. Nearby, squid propel themselves with bursts of jet motion, expelling water to move swiftly through darkness. Their large eyes gather what little light exists, and their skin can shift color in subtle waves, responding instantly to surroundings. In a place where concealment matters, adaptability becomes protection. Higher in the water column, whales pass through these depths during long dives. A blue whale, the largest animal ever known, carries a heart powerful enough to circulate blood through an immense body. During deep descents, its heart rate slows significantly, conserving oxygen until it must return to the surface to breathe. This rhythm, steady and controlled, allows survival in both air and water. Movement here is measured. Energy is not wasted. Food can be unpredictable, arriving in pulses rather than abundance. Some fish possess wide mouths and expandable stomachs, enabling them to consume whatever prey crosses their path. Others rely on ambush, conserving strength until opportunity drifts close enough. Sound continues to travel across these depths. Whales communicate with low-frequency calls that can move across entire ocean basins under the right conditions. These calls carry information about identity, location, and perhaps even emotion. In darkness, sound becomes a bridge connecting distant companions. The ocean's chemistry also shifts with depth. Oxygen levels may thin in certain layers, creating zones where only specially adapted species can survive. These oxygen minimum zones shape migration patterns and feeding behavior across ecosystems. Pause again. Imagine the slow beat of a distant whale call passing through water. Feel the gentle drift of a current moving steadily beneath you. Life persists here not through speed or noise, but through balance and efficiency. Above, surface waters shimmer in daylight. Below, trenches descend into deeper shadow. Between these extremes lies a layered system, each part linked to the others through movement, sound, and chemistry. We continue to drift within this interconnected world. There is still more to discover. Let us move onward, slowly, into the rhythms of communication and cooperation that shape ocean life.
As we continue drifting through open water, notice how life rarely exists alone. The ocean is built on relationships. Some of these partnerships are quiet and nearly invisible. Coral polyps, for example, host microscopic algae within their tissues. The algae use sunlight to create energy, and in return, the coral provides shelter and nutrients. Together, they construct reefs that shelter thousands of species. Without this cooperation, entire ecosystems would fade. Other partnerships are more dynamic. Small, cleaner fish set up stations along reefs where larger fish pause patiently to have parasites removed. Predator and helper meet without conflict. The cleaner gains food, the larger fish gains health. In a world often described as competitive, cooperation becomes another survival strategy. Even large hunters rely on teamwork. Humpback whales sometimes feed using a coordinated method known as bubble net feeding. Several whales dive beneath a school of fish and release spirals of bubbles as they swim upward. The rising curtain of bubbles acts like a temporary fence, guiding fish into a tighter cluster. Then, in a synchronized surge, the whales swim upward with open mouths, capturing thousands of fish in a single movement. It is planning shaped by breath and timing. Orcas, too, demonstrate learned traditions. Different family groups specialize in distinct prey and techniques. Some pursue fish with precise herding movements. Others focus on marine mammals, using coordinated waves to dislodge prey from ice. Young orcas observe closely, practicing skills passed down through generations. In this way, knowledge itself becomes part of survival. Communication supports these relationships. Dolphins produce signature whistles that function almost like individual names. Each dolphin develops a unique call, and others can imitate it to address that specific individual. In shifting, open waters where visibility changes quickly, sound preserves connection. Identity travels through water on patterns of vibration. Even schooling fish demonstrate collective awareness. A sudden change in direction by one individual can ripple through hundreds almost instantly, as if the group shares a single nervous system. This fluid coordination reduces confusion and increases protection from predators. Pause for a moment. Imagine the gentle murmur of underwater calls passing through miles of ocean. Picture bubbles rising in spirals, fish turning in silver waves, a dolphin recognizing a familiar whistle in the distance. The ocean is not silent isolation, it is a network of signals, responses, and shared rhythms. These relationships also shape balance. Removing one species can shift entire systems. When predators decline, prey populations may expand beyond sustainable limits. When reefs weaken, countless dependent organisms lose shelter. The ocean's stability depends not just on individual survival, but on connection. Above us, sunlight still glows faintly. Below, deeper darkness waits. Between them, life cooperates, competes, adapts, and remembers. Let your breathing remain slow. Feel yourself suspended within this living web where every movement influences another. The sea does not rush, it adjusts in steady cycles. We will continue drifting, exploring how sensing and perception shape life beneath the waves. There is always another layer waiting quietly ahead. As we drift onward, notice how perception changes in water. On land, vision often guides behavior. In the ocean, sight is only one of many senses, and sometimes not the most important. Water absorbs light quickly, and particles can blur outlines. In response, marine animals have evolved ways of sensing their surroundings that feel almost unfamiliar to us. Sharks, for example, possess specialized receptors called ampullae of Lorenzini. These small gel-filled pores around the snout detect faint electrical signals produced by muscle movement in other animals. Even a hidden fish buried beneath sand emits tiny electrical impulses. To a shark, the ocean is not empty water, but a landscape alive with subtle signals. Some fish rely on pressure detection. A structure known as the lateral line runs along their bodies, allowing them to sense changes in water movement. When another creature swims nearby, the shift in pressure creates a detectable ripple. In this way, fish can navigate in near darkness, avoiding collisions and predators without relying entirely on sight. For animals that dive deep, echolocation becomes essential. Dolphins and certain whales emit clicks and listen carefully for returning echoes. The reflected sound provides information about distance, size, and shape. In murky waters, echolocation forms a detailed map where light cannot reach. Octopuses experience their surroundings differently still. Their arms contain sensitive receptors capable of detecting chemical traces. When an octopus explores a rocky crevice, it is not only feeling the surface, but also tasting it. The boundary between touch and taste blurs. Each arm gathers information independently while remaining connected to a central brain that coordinates movement with remarkable precision. Even sea turtles rely on invisible cues. Earth's magnetic field varies subtly across the globe, and turtles can sense these differences, using them as a navigational guide. A young turtle may leave a beach and travel vast distances only to return years later to the same region. The map is written not in landmarks, but in magnetism. Pause here. Imagine moving through water guided not by sight alone, but by vibration, echo, chemistry, and electricity. The ocean becomes a layered field of information, constantly shifting, yet readable to those adapted for it. These sensory adaptations reveal something important. Survival in the sea depends not on dominating the environment, but on interpreting it accurately. The ocean offers signals in every direction. Animals that learn to detect them thrive. Above us, currents continue their steady flow. Below, the seafloor stretches across silent plains. Around us, life senses, responds, and adjusts without urgency. Let your breathing remain slow and even. Picture the water holding you gently as faint vibrations pass through the space around you. Nothing is abrupt. Every signal unfolds gradually, carried by steady motion. We will continue drifting through this world of perception, where even darkness is filled with information waiting to be understood. There is still more beneath the surface.
As we continue drifting, consider how time feels different in the ocean. On land, change can appear sudden. In the sea, many processes unfold slowly, measured not in days but in centuries. Water holds memory in temperature layers, in dissolved minerals, in currents that trace ancient paths across the globe. Some marine animals live remarkably long lives. Certain deep-sea fish grow slowly, conserving energy in cold environments where food is limited. Greenland sharks, for example, are believed to live for centuries, moving at an unhurried pace through dark waters. Their slow metabolism reflects the steady rhythm of their surroundings. Coral reefs, too, grow gradually. Layer upon layer of calcium carbonate builds over generations, forming structures that may persist for thousands of years. What appears vibrant and immediate is actually the result of patient accumulation. Even ocean circulation operates on long cycles. Deep currents may take hundreds or even thousands of years to complete a global loop. Water that sinks in polar regions can travel across basins before eventually rising again near the surface. This slow conveyor influences climate by redistributing heat and storing carbon over vast timescales. Yet, alongside these long rhythms, there are daily patterns that pulse predictably. Tides rise and fall under the gravitational pull of the moon and sun. Coastal ecosystems adjust to this steady movement.
Intertidal organisms endure alternating periods of submersion and exposure, adapting to both water and air. Barnacles close tightly to conserve moisture. Crabs retreat into protective crevices until the sea returns. Night and day also shape ocean behavior. As we explored earlier, countless animals participate in vertical migration, rising under cover of darkness and descending at dawn. This daily journey links surface waters with deeper layers, transferring energy downward in a continuous cycle. Pause for a moment. Imagine the steady pull of tides, the slow rotation of deep currents, the patient growth of coral stone. The ocean is not rushed. It moves through time with measured consistency. Even storms, dramatic at the surface, eventually pass. Beneath turbulent waves, deeper layers remain comparatively stable, insulated from sudden change. This layered resilience helps maintain balance across ecosystems. Marine biology reveals that life adapts not only to space, but to time. Some species reproduce quickly, responding to seasonal shifts. Others invest in longevity, thriving through gradual endurance. Above us, light still filters faintly. Below, darker regions stretch quietly outward. Around us, currents carry both nutrients and memory, linking distant regions through invisible pathways. Let your breathing slow to match this steady tempo. Picture yourself suspended in water that has traveled across oceans, perhaps even circled the planet long before arriving here. The sea holds stories older than human history, carried molecule by molecule through endless motion. We will continue exploring how this vast system sustains balance, moving next toward the smallest architects of ocean life. Drift gently onward. There is always another layer of understanding waiting below.
Now let us turn our attention to the smallest architects of the ocean. They are nearly invisible, drifting quietly in sunlit waters and suspended in darker depths. Yet without them, the sea would feel strangely empty. These are the microscopic organisms, plankton, bacteria, and tiny algae that form the foundation of marine ecosystems. Phytoplankton float near the surface where sunlight reaches. Through photosynthesis, they convert light and carbon dioxide into energy, releasing oxygen as a byproduct. With every breath you take, there is a quiet connection to these drifting organisms. They help shape the air itself. But plankton are not a single kind of life. Some are plant-like, capturing sunlight. Others are animal-like, grazing on smaller cells. Together, they create a constantly shifting community, influenced by nutrients, temperature, and light. When conditions are right, plankton populations bloom. Vast clouds of microscopic life expand across the surface, sometimes visible from space as swirls of green or blue. These blooms feed fish larvae, which in turn feed larger fish. The entire food web begins with something too small to clearly see. In deeper waters, bacteria play another essential role. As organic matter sinks from above, fragments of plants, waste, and tiny remains, microbes break it down. This recycling returns nutrients to the system, ensuring that nothing useful is truly wasted. Even in darkness, life continues its quiet exchange. A single teaspoon of seawater can contain thousands of microbial organisms. Each cell is engaged in chemical processes that influence the ocean's balance. They respond quickly to shifts in temperature or nutrient levels, acting almost like sensitive indicators of change. Pause here.
Imagine holding a small drop of seawater in your hand. Within it, countless lives are unfolding, dividing, consuming, releasing energy. Though invisible, they shape entire coastlines and fisheries. These microscopic communities also influence climate. By absorbing carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, plankton help regulate atmospheric levels of greenhouse gases. When they die and sink, some of that carbon becomes stored in deeper waters, removed from the atmosphere for long periods. The ocean's surface may appear calm and uniform, but beneath that smooth reflection lies constant microscopic activity. Currents mix nutrients upward from deeper layers, fueling new growth. Wind patterns stir surface waters, reshaping distribution. Even bioluminescent displays sometimes begin with tiny organisms. In certain conditions, waves faintly blue at night due to microscopic plankton flashing in response to disturbance. The sea appears to shimmer with living light. Let your breathing remain steady. Imagine yourself floating among these drifting cells, surrounded by quiet productivity. There is no rush, only steady transformation, light into energy, energy into life, life into nourishment. The smallest organisms sustain the largest creatures. From plankton to whales, everything connects through invisible threads of exchange. We will continue drifting through this intricate system, moving next toward creatures whose bodies reveal extraordinary solutions to survival. There is still more to explore beneath these gentle waves.
As we move forward, let us consider how marine animals solve the problem of survival in ways that can feel almost imaginative. In the ocean, bodies are shaped not only by hunger or movement, but by pressure, darkness, and unpredictability. Every form reflects a long history of refinement. Take the example of the octopus. Soft-bodied and highly flexible, it can compress itself to slip through openings barely larger than its beak. Its skin contains specialized cells called chromatophores, allowing it to shift color and texture in moments. A rocky surface can be matched with astonishing precision. Camouflage here is not static, it is dynamic, responsive, almost thoughtful. Some fish adopt transparency as protection. In open water, being nearly invisible can be safer than speed. Light passes through their tissues, reducing shadows that might reveal their position. Others develop reflective scales that mirror surrounding colors, blending seamlessly with filtered blue light. Deep-sea fish sometimes possess enlarged mouths and extendable stomachs. In an environment where food is scarce, the ability to consume prey larger than expected can determine survival. Patience replaces abundance. An opportunity, once found, must be fully used. Even reproduction follows unusual paths beneath the waves. Certain reef fish can change sex depending on social structure. If a dominant individual disappears, another may shift biological roles to maintain group stability. Hormonal changes guide physical transformation, ensuring that reproduction continues despite disruption. Adaptation here includes flexibility at the most fundamental level. Sea stars and sea cucumbers demonstrate regeneration. Lost limbs or internal tissues can slowly grow back over time. This capacity reduces the finality of injury. A close encounter with a predator does not always end in death. Recovery becomes possible through steady rebuilding. Meanwhile, marine mammals balance life between water and air.
Seals can enter a form of sleep in which one half of the brain rests while the other remains alert enough to manage breathing. This split awareness allows survival in environments where full unconsciousness could be dangerous. Imagine these varied forms moving quietly around you. Flexible arms reaching into crevices, transparent bodies drifting in open water, a fish altering its role within a social group. Each strategy reflects a specific challenge solved through time. The ocean does not reward rigidity, it favors responsiveness. Whether through color change, regeneration, or social adaptation, marine organisms survive by adjusting rather than resisting. Even the largest animals depend on efficiency. Whales regulate oxygen use during long dives. Heart rates slow, blood flow redirects to vital organs, and movement becomes deliberate. Every system aligns with the demands of depth. Above us, light remains faint. Below, pressure continues to build. Around us, bodies glide and pulse, shaped by countless generations of quiet evolution. Let your breathing follow this steady pattern. Inhale slowly, exhale gently. Adaptation in the sea is not dramatic, it is continuous, unfolding gradually across time. We will continue drifting through this living world, exploring how migration and memory guide animals across vast distances. There is still more waiting beneath the surface.
As we continue our descent through understanding, let us follow the paths of travelers. The ocean may seem open and without borders, yet many marine animals move along remarkably consistent routes. Migration in the sea is guided by subtle signals, temperature gradients, chemical cues, magnetic fields, and inherited memory. Sea turtles begin life on sandy beaches. After hatching, they scramble toward the surf and disappear into open water. Years may pass before they return to nest, yet many find their way back to the same region where they began. Scientists believe Earth's magnetic field provides part of the map. The planet's magnetism varies slightly by location, creating a pattern that turtles can sense and remember. Whales undertake some of the longest migrations on Earth. Certain species travel between cold feeding grounds and warmer breeding areas, covering thousands of miles each year. These journeys are not hurried. They unfold steadily, guided by instinct refined across generations. Calves learn routes by swimming beside their mothers, absorbing geography through repetition. Salmon navigate between freshwater rivers and the open ocean. After years at sea, they return upstream to the very rivers where they hatched. Their sense of smell plays a crucial role. Chemical signatures unique to each river guide them home even after long absences. Migration is not limited to large animals. Tiny plankton drift with currents that carry them across basins. Larval fish ride shifting water masses before settling into coastal habitats. Even deep-sea species may move vertically each day, rising and sinking in rhythm with light and darkness. These movements create connection between distant ecosystems. Nutrients gathered in one region may be released in another. Energy flows along these invisible highways. The ocean, though vast, remains interconnected through motion. Pause here. As we drift onward, let us consider how the ocean shapes climate, and how climate, in turn, shapes the ocean. The sea is not only home to life, it is also a regulator. Water absorbs heat more slowly than air, and it releases that heat gradually. This ability allows the ocean to store vast amounts of energy from the sun, buffering extremes of temperature across the planet. Warm surface waters near the equator absorb sunlight year-round. Currents carry some of this warmth toward cooler regions. As the water travels, it influences weather patterns, guiding storm systems and shaping seasonal cycles. Coastal climates often feel milder because nearby oceans moderate shifts in temperature. At the same time, colder, denser water sinks near the poles, driving deep circulation. This sinking motion pulls surface water downward, continuing the slow global exchange we have followed. Heat and nutrients move together through this vast system, linking tropical reefs to polar seas. Marine life responds to these patterns carefully. Coral reefs, for instance, thrive within narrow temperature ranges. When waters warm beyond certain thresholds, corals can experience stress. The partnership between coral and its microscopic algae becomes strained, sometimes leading to bleaching. Yet reefs also demonstrate resilience, recovering when conditions stabilize. Plankton populations fluctuate with temperature and nutrient availability. Warmer waters may stratify, limiting the upward mixing of nutrients from deeper layers. In contrast, cooler conditions often promote mixing, fueling blooms that ripple through food webs. Even large animals adjust their movements in response to climate signals. Some whale species shift feeding grounds depending on ocean temperature. Fish populations may move toward cooler waters if their preferred range changes. Pause here. Imagine the ocean as a vast breathing system, inhaling heat near the surface and exhaling it slowly through currents and deep circulation. Feel the steady exchange, measured and continuous. The sea also absorbs significant amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Phytoplankton use this carbon during photosynthesis, and when organisms die, some of it sinks to deeper waters. Over long periods, this process helps regulate atmospheric composition. Yet, balance remains delicate. Because the ocean covers most of Earth's surface, small shifts in temperature or chemistry can influence ecosystems widely. Marine biology studies these interactions not to create alarm, but to understand connection. The sea's systems are complex, but they are not random. Above us, winds skim across the surface. Below, deep currents flow invisibly. Around us, organisms respond quietly to changing conditions, adjusting distribution, growth, and reproduction. Let your breathing remain calm and steady. Picture yourself suspended within a slow planetary rhythm, currents turning, temperatures shifting gently, life adapting without haste. The ocean's influence extends far beyond its shorelines. It shapes rain, wind, and the stability of climates that support forests and fields. We will continue our journey by exploring how sound and song travel through this immense body of water. Drift softly onward. There is still more to hear beneath the waves.
As we continue drifting, let us listen. The ocean may appear quiet from above, but beneath the surface it is filled with sound. Water carries vibration efficiently, allowing tones to travel far beyond what would be possible through air. In this environment, sound becomes one of the most important senses. Whales are among the most remarkable users of this acoustic world. Some species produce long, patterned songs that repeat in sequences. These songs can last for hours, unfolding in phrases that change gradually over time. In certain conditions, low-frequency whale calls may travel across entire ocean basins, connecting individuals separated by great distance. These vocalizations serve multiple purposes. They can help maintain contact between members of a group, attract mates, or coordinate movement. Marine biologists study these sounds using underwater microphones called hydrophones, mapping patterns of migration and behavior through listening alone. Dolphins communicate with clicks and whistles, including distinct signature whistles that function almost like individual names. In shifting waters where visibility changes quickly, recognizing a familiar sound can maintain social bonds. Identity in this world travels on vibration rather than sight. Even smaller creatures contribute to the underwater soundscape. Certain fish produce rhythmic drumming or humming noises, often during breeding seasons. Shrimp snapping their claws create tiny bursts of sound that, in large numbers, form a constant background crackle along reefs. Sound does more than connect, it also guides. Toothed whales and dolphins use echolocation, emitting rapid clicks and interpreting returning echoes to construct mental maps of their surroundings. This ability allows them to navigate murky waters, locate prey, and avoid obstacles with precision. Pause here. Imagine floating in darkness while low tones pass gently through the water around you. A distant whale call hums like a slow note held steady. A series of faint clicks pulses nearby. The sea is not silent, it is layered with subtle conversation. Sound can also reveal changes in the environment. Scientists monitor ocean acoustics to track ice movement, storm intensity, and even distant seismic activity. Listening becomes a way of understanding patterns that may not be visible. Yet sound travels so efficiently underwater that human-generated noise can carry far as well. Ships, engines, and other activities introduce new vibrations into the ocean. Many marine animals adjust their communication to avoid interference, sometimes altering pitch or timing. Still, the dominant rhythm of the sea remains steady and ancient. Above us, waves roll across the surface. Below, currents flow through canyons and ridges. Around us, voices echo softly across distances too vast to see. Let your breathing match this gentle tempo. Inhale slowly, as if drawing in a distant note. Exhale gradually, releasing it back into the water. The ocean's acoustic world reminds us that connection does not require visibility. Even in darkness, signals travel reliably through steady motion. We will continue drifting, turning next toward the final depths and the mysteries that remain largely unexplored. There is always more waiting quietly below.
As we drift deeper into understanding, let us turn toward what remains unknown. Despite satellites, research vessels, and advanced submersibles, much of the ocean is still unexplored. The deep sea covers vast areas that few humans have witnessed directly. In many regions, maps remain incomplete, and countless species have yet to be formally described. The challenge is not distance alone. Pressure increases dramatically with depth, requiring specialized equipment to withstand it. Darkness limits visibility. Fragile organisms may be damaged during collection. As a result, discovery often happens slowly, through careful sampling and remote observation. New species are regularly identified in unexpected places. Deep-sea sediments contain microscopic life forms that resemble fine grains of dust until examined closely. Midwater zones reveal transparent animals that vanish under bright light,
visible only through sensitive cameras designed for low illumination. Seamounts, underwater mountains rising from the sea floor, can host unique communities isolated from surrounding plains. Hydrothermal vents, with their mineral-rich plumes, support organisms adapted to chemical energy rather than sunlight. Even beneath polar ice, hidden ecosystems persist in cold darkness. Each discovery reshapes understanding. Marine biology is not only about cataloging species, it is about recognizing relationships between geology, chemistry, physics, and living systems. The ocean is not a collection of separate habitats. It is an integrated network where change in one region can influence distant areas through currents and migration. Pause here. Imagine hovering above an unexplored trench, its walls descending into shadow beyond sight. Somewhere below, organisms live in conditions few have studied directly. Their forms may be delicate, unusual, or entirely unfamiliar. This sense of mystery does not imply emptiness. It suggests abundance awaiting careful observation. The ocean's vastness ensures that exploration remains ongoing. Technology improves. Submersibles dive deeper. Autonomous vehicles map terrain once considered unreachable. Even so, the pace of discovery remains patient. The ocean does not reveal itself quickly. It requires listening, measuring, and returning again and again. Patterns emerge gradually, like shapes forming in dim light. Above us, the surface world continues its daily rhythm. Tides rise and fall, storms pass, sunlight warms shallow waters. Below, deep currents circulate steadily, preserving memory of climates long past. Around us, known and unknown species coexist quietly, each adapted to a specific niche within this immense system. Let your breathing remain calm and even. Picture yourself suspended between certainty and mystery, aware that understanding expands with gentle curiosity rather than urgency. The ocean's unexplored spaces remind us that knowledge is always evolving. There is comfort in recognizing that the world still holds secrets, not threatening, but patient. We will continue drifting through this final stretch, drawing together the threads of connection that bind surface and depth, sound and silence, light and shadow. There is still more to reflect upon beneath these quiet waves. As we drift gently onward, let us begin drawing the layers together. We have traveled from the bright surface waters to the quiet sea floor, from microscopic plankton to migrating whales, from coral cities to unseen trenches. Each layer seemed separate at first, yet none of them truly stand alone. The ocean functions as a continuous system. Energy begins with sunlight touching the surface. Phytoplankton transform that light into life. Small organisms feed on them, larger animals follow. When living things die, fragments sink slowly downward, nourishing deeper communities. Nutrients are recycled and lifted again by currents. What begins in light may finish in darkness, only to rise once more. Movement connects everything. Surface currents carry warmth across oceans, shaping climate. Deep currents return cold water upward over long periods. Tides pulse along coastlines under the steady influence of the moon. Vertical migrations move living matter between layers daily, like a quiet exchange between night and day. Even sound links distant regions. Whale calls travel across basins. Fish respond to subtle vibrations. Echoes map unseen terrain. Communication becomes part of survival, part of coordination, part of belonging within a vast and shifting environment. Balance is not fixed, it is dynamic. Temperatures fluctuate. Storms stir the surface. Nutrient levels shift with seasons. Marine organisms respond by adapting through migration, reproduction, camouflage, cooperation, and regeneration. The ocean does not remain static. It adjusts constantly, seeking equilibrium. Pause here. Imagine hovering once more in open water, suspended between surface shimmer and deep shadow. Around you, currents flow gently. Tiny plankton drift. A distant whale call hums softly. Somewhere below, seafloor ridges rise silently. The sea is both immense and intimate. It shapes global climate, yet it also shapes a single breath. Oxygen produced by microscopic organisms becomes part of the air filling your lungs. Heat stored in water influences the weather outside your window. The ocean's rhythms ripple far beyond its boundaries. And still, much remains unknown. Unexplored trenches, undiscovered species, subtle chemical interactions all continue quietly beyond human attention. This mystery does not suggest danger, it suggests depth, a world layered with complexity, unfolding patiently. Let your breathing remain slow. Inhale as if drawing in cool ocean air. Exhale as if releasing tension into steady water. Feel yourself supported by something vast and stable. The journey through marine biology is not only about facts, it is about perspective. It reminds us that life adapts, systems interconnect, and balance depends on countless quiet exchanges. We have drifted through light and darkness, through movement and stillness. There is no sudden ending here, only the steady continuation of currents, tides, and living rhythms that will persist long after this moment. Rest within that continuity. The ocean remains, calm, layered, and endlessly unfolding. As we remain suspended in this quiet expanse, let us look once more at the surface above. From below, the underside of the ocean's skin shimmers like moving glass. Waves roll overhead, shaped by wind that never fully reaches these deeper layers. Storms may churn the topmost waters, yet even the strongest surface winds cannot easily disturb the deepest currents. This layering creates stability. Near the surface, sunlight warms the water, forming a lighter layer that floats above cooler, denser depths. The boundary between these layers can act like an invisible ceiling, slowing vertical mixing. Marine life adjusts carefully to these transitions. Some species remain above the boundary. Others thrive below it. Flying fish burst briefly into the air to escape predators, gliding above the surface before slipping back into water. Seabirds dive from the sky, crossing the boundary in the opposite direction. The line between ocean and air is not fixed. It is crossed constantly by creatures adapted to both realms. Marine mammals must return to breathe, yet they feed far below. Whales, dolphins, and seals manage oxygen with remarkable efficiency.
During long dives, blood flow shifts toward vital organs. Heart rates slow. Muscles store oxygen in specialized proteins. When they rise again, a single breath can refill their systems quickly before the next descent. Above the surface, weather systems gather strength from ocean heat. Hurricanes form over warm waters, drawing energy from temperature differences. When storms move inland, they carry moisture shaped by distant seas. In this way, the ocean influences landscapes far beyond its edges. Pause gently. Imagine floating upward until faint sunlight grows brighter once again. Feel the subtle warmth returning as you near the surface. Hear the distant hush of waves rolling above. Coastal regions represent meeting places of land and sea. Estuaries, where rivers mix with saltwater, create nutrient-rich habitats. Mangroves anchor shorelines with tangled roots. Salt marshes filter sediments. These boundary zones support nurseries for countless marine species. Even tides reveal connection. Twice daily in many regions, the ocean rises and falls with predictable rhythm. Intertidal organisms cling tightly to rocks, enduring exposure to air before being covered again. Life here adapts to constant change. Above us, the sky stretches wide. Below, the deep ocean remains steady and cold. Between them lies the thin surface layer where light, air, and water interact continuously. Let your breathing match the rhythm of gentle waves. Inhale as the tide rises. Exhale as it recedes. The ocean's surface may seem restless, but beneath it lies depth and stability. Storms pass, winds shift, currents continue their patient circulation. We have explored darkness, light, sound, motion, and time, yet the sea remains larger than any single journey. Rest here for a moment near the surface, supported by quiet water and open sky. There is still more to reflect upon as our gentle exploration continues.
As we float near the surface once more, let us notice the quiet exchange between ocean and sky. Evaporation lifts water into the atmosphere, forming clouds that drift across continents. Later, rain falls back to Earth, feeding rivers that eventually return to the sea. This cycle connects mountaintops to coral reefs, forests to tidal flats. The ocean is not isolated. It participates continuously in the planet's circulation of water. Salt remains behind when water evaporates, which is why seawater holds dissolved minerals gathered over millions of years. Rivers carry tiny particles of rock from mountains, delivering them gradually to the ocean basin. Over time, this slow transport shapes chemistry that marine organisms rely upon for shells, skeletons, and internal balance. Life at the shoreline reflects this blending of systems. Kelp forests sway in cool coastal waters, forming underwater canopies that resemble submerged woodlands. Sea otters wrap themselves in kelp strails while resting, anchoring against drifting currents. Beneath the canopy, fish weave between fronds, sheltered from larger predators. Farther offshore, vast open waters stretch uninterrupted. Here, productivity depends on mixing. Winds stir the surface, bringing nutrients upward from deeper layers. Where nutrient-rich water rises, Plankton blooms expand, drawing fish and larger animals into feeding gatherings. Pause for a moment. Imagine drifting at the boundary where air meets sea. Above, clouds shift gently. Below, schools of fish move in silver patterns. The horizon curves softly in every direction. This exchange between ocean and atmosphere influences temperature and weather patterns globally. Warm water releases heat slowly, moderating nearby climates. Cooler currents can shape fog, rainfall, and seasonal change. The ocean acts as both reservoir and regulator. Even human history has been shaped by these patterns. Coastal civilizations developed along predictable currents and fish migrations. Trade routes followed steady winds across ocean basins. Though our journey tonight remains calm and scientific, it is worth remembering how deeply connected people have always been to the sea. Yet the ocean does not belong to any one species. Its systems operate through physics, chemistry, and biology intertwined. Carbon cycles through plankton and currents. Nutrients travel from river mouths to deep basins. Oxygen forms through microscopic photosynthesis and disperses into the atmosphere. Let your breathing remain slow and steady. Picture each inhale as part of this exchange. Air shaped partly by distant waves. Picture each exhale returning gently to the world. We have traced currents, migrations, adaptations, sound, and climate. Still, the sea continues quietly, vast beyond immediate perception. As our journey unfolds, we will move toward a gentle reflection on continuity, how the ocean persists through change, holding patterns that endure across time. Drift calmly forward. The water remains steady and the horizon open.
As we continue drifting, let us reflect on resilience. The ocean has existed for billions of years, reshaped by shifting continents, volcanic eruptions, ice ages, and gradual warming periods. Through each transformation, life adapted. Species emerged, changed, and sometimes disappeared. Yet the system as a whole continued. Resilience in the sea does not mean resistance to change. It means adjustment. When temperatures shift, certain species migrate to cooler or warmer waters. When nutrient levels vary, plankton communities reorganize. Predators respond to prey movement. Reefs may decline in one region while forming in another more suitable environment. Patterns move rather than vanish entirely. This flexibility is built into marine life. Many fish release thousands of eggs at once, ensuring that at least some offspring survive shifting conditions. Coral reefs spawn in synchronized events, releasing clouds of gametes into warm night waters. Timing aligns with lunar cycles, increasing the likelihood of success. Even deep-sea organisms, living under immense pressure, demonstrate endurance. Hydrothermal vent communities rebuild after volcanic disturbance. Microbial life thrives in environments once thought too extreme for survival. Pause here. Imagine the ocean as a vast breathing entity, responding to change, not with panic, but with gradual recalibration. Currents shift course, populations adjust density, food webs reconfigure. Yet resilience also depends on balance. Because the ocean is interconnected, disruption in one layer can ripple outward. When predators decline, prey populations may expand rapidly. When nutrient cycles alter, blooms can intensify or diminish. Marine biology studies these shifts carefully, seeking to understand thresholds and feedback loops. Still, the sea carries an ancient steadiness. Below the most turbulent surface waters, deeper layers remain comparatively stable. Temperature changes more slowly. Pressure remains constant. The ocean's mass itself acts as a stabilizing force, absorbing variation over time. Above us, winds continue to pass. Tides rise and fall. Below, the deep holds steady. Let your breathing follow this pattern of calm adaptation. Inhale gently, acknowledging movement. Exhale slowly, releasing tension. The ocean reminds us that change does not always mean collapse. Often it means transition, an adjustment of position, timing, or form. Marine ecosystems persist through cooperation, reproduction, migration, and regeneration. No single organism controls the sea. Instead, countless interactions maintain equilibrium across scales both small and vast. As we drift onward, we will begin moving toward a quiet closing reflection, gathering together the themes of connection, adaptation, sound, motion, and time. There is no abrupt conclusion in the ocean, only continuity. Rest within that idea. The currents continue, whether observed or not. The tides return. Light fades and rises again. We remain suspended within a system older than memory, steady beneath shifting skies. Let us move gently toward the final layers of our journey. As we drift toward the final stretch of our journey, let us slow even more. Imagine rising gradually from depth, passing once again through layers of water that hold memory of everything we have explored. The deep darkness softens into twilight. Twilight brightens into pale blue. Above, the surface glows gently with reflected light. The ocean remains vast, yet it no longer feels distant. We have seen how microscopic plankton shape the air we breathe. We have followed migrations guided by magnetism and memory. We have listened to whales whose songs travel across entire basins. We have watched coral build cities stone by stone, and deep-sea organisms create light in complete darkness. Each detail forms part of a larger pattern. Marine biology is not only the study of creatures, it is the study of relationships between light and life, pressure and form, sound and distance, surface and depth. Every layer connects to the next through steady exchange. Pause here. Picture yourself floating calmly at the boundary between water and air. The sky above is wide and quiet. The sea below stretches outward in every direction. Beneath its surface, currents continue their slow rotation. Deep trenches rest in darkness. Reefs shimmer in shallows warmed by sunlight. Nothing has stopped. The tides will continue rising and falling. Plankton will bloom and fade. Whales will migrate along ancient routes. Deep sea vents will release mineral-rich water into black surroundings. The ocean does not require our attention to persist. And yet, awareness brings perspective. To understand the sea is to recognize interdependence. The oxygen we inhale carries traces of marine photosynthesis. The weather patterns shaping distant landscapes are influenced by ocean temperatures. Even the rhythm of coastal life aligns with lunar tides. Let your breathing become steady and unforced. Inhale slowly, imagining cool air touched by distant waves. Exhale gently,
releasing thought into calm water. The journey we have taken tonight mirrors the structure of the ocean itself, layered, connected, continuous. We descended through light into darkness and returned again. We followed sound across distance and traced currents across time. There is comfort in this continuity. The ocean reminds us that vast systems can operate quietly. Complexity does not always require noise. Life unfolds through balance, cooperation, adaptation, and patience. Now, as you remain calmly floating at the surface, allow the sense of depth beneath you to feel reassuring rather than overwhelming. Beneath every wave lies structure. Beneath every change lies steady circulation. The sea remains. Its currents flow. Its creatures move. Its smallest cells transform light into breath. And you, for this quiet moment, have drifted within.
Remain here for a little while longer. The surface gently rocks beneath you, not enough to disturb, only enough to remind you that motion never fully stops. The horizon stretches in every direction, soft and unbroken. Beneath you, miles of water hold currents, ridges, organisms, and quiet exchanges that continue whether we watch them or not. The ocean does not hurry. Its largest systems move slowly, currents completing global circuits over centuries, sediments settling grain by grain, reefs building layer upon layer. Even dramatic events like storms or migrations exist within longer rhythms that return again and again. There is something steady about that. In marine biology, patterns matter more than moments. A single wave means little on its own, but tides reveal predictable cycles. A single fish does not define an ecosystem, but the relationships between predator and prey shape balance. A single bloom of plankton may fade, yet seasonal blooms sustain entire webs of life. Imagine looking down into the water beside you. Sunlight reflects in shifting patterns. If you could see through that shimmer, you would find drifting cells, swimming fish, suspended particles slowly descending. Everything participates in exchange. Above you, clouds form from evaporated seawater. Winds trace their paths across continents. Rain returns to rivers that eventually meet the ocean again. The cycle continues without announcement. Marine life mirrors this quiet persistence. Whales will return to feeding grounds year after year. Sea turtles will cross open basins, guided by magnetic memory. Coral polyps will extend their tiny tentacles at night, feeding patiently. Deep-sea organisms will glow softly in darkness, signaling in ways unseen from shore. Even when conditions shift, the sea recalibrates. Temperatures rise and fall, currents adjust course, populations expand or contract. Through it all, the system seeks balance through movement rather than resistance. Let your breathing slow to match this rhythm. Inhale as though drawing in the cool steadiness of open water. Exhale as though releasing into its depth. You are floating above a living network older than forests, older than mountains. The ocean has witnessed continental drift, ice ages, and the emergence of countless species. It has absorbed change and continued. There is reassurance in that scale. Whatever feels urgent on the surface becomes smaller against the backdrop of planetary circulation and ancient tides.
The ocean beneath you remains layered and calm. Its darkness holds life. Its light nourishes growth. Its currents link distant places into one continuous system. Rest in that awareness. There is no final boundary here, only ongoing motion. Waves rising and falling, breath entering and leaving, water circulating in patterns too vast to see at once. Stay suspended in this gentle expanse. The ocean continues, steady and patient, long after this quiet drift fades into sleep.
Let us drift just a little longer. The light above you softens as evening approaches once more. The sky reflects in silver streaks across the water's surface. Beneath you, layers of life continue their steady exchanges, unaware of beginnings or endings. Day gradually gives way to night. As darkness settles across the ocean, subtle changes unfold. Near the surface, plankton that remained deeper during daylight begin rising slowly. Small fish follow them upward, moving cautiously under dimming light. Predators adjust their positions, guided by instinct refined across generations. This daily transition is gentle, almost ceremonial. In coastal regions, reef fish retreat into crevices to rest. Some parrotfish even create protective mucus cocoons around themselves at night, masking scent from predators. Meanwhile, nocturnal hunters emerge, navigating by scent, vibration, and faint glimmers. Farther offshore, the great vertical migration begins again. Countless organisms ascend from twilight depths toward the surface to feed under cover of darkness. The movement is not chaotic, it is rhythmic, repeating night after night across vast stretches of ocean. Pause here. Imagine floating beneath the night sky now, scattered with stars. Above you, constellations shine faintly. Below you, tiny flashes of bioluminescence flicker in response to subtle motion. The sea mirrors the sky, light answering light. In darkness, sound grows more noticeable. Gentle clicks, distant whale calls, and the soft hum of moving water blend into a layered acoustic field. Though invisible, communication continues steadily. Even resting marine mammals maintain awareness. Some species of dolphins and seals sleep with one hemisphere of the brain at a time, ensuring they surface for air when needed. Rest and alertness coexist. The ocean at night is not silent or empty. It is simply quieter in appearance, its activity shifting rather than stopping. Let your breathing grow slower. Inhale as though drawing in cool night air touched by distant waves. Exhale softly, releasing tension into dark, steady water. We have traveled through sunlight and shadow, migration and stillness, sound and silence. Now the ocean rests beneath the night sky, continuing its patterns without urgency. Currents move unseen. Deep-sea creatures glow in hidden trenches. Coral polyps extend tentacles in darkness, feeding patiently. Above you, the stars appear fixed, yet they too move gradually across the sky. Everything participates in motion. There is comfort in repetition, tides returning, night following day, migration repeating season after season. Remain floating, supported by quiet water. The sea does not demand attention. It simply exists, layered and continuous, vast yet intimate. We will drift a little further, allowing this gentle rhythm to carry us toward deeper rest. Stay here,
suspended between sky and sea. Night has fully settled now. The surface above you reflects faint starlight, broken only by gentle ripples. Beneath you, the ocean feels darker, yet not empty. Darkness here is not absence, it is depth. In this quiet hour, many creatures rely less on sight and more on other senses. Chemical signals drift through water, carrying information about food, territory, and presence. A subtle trace left behind by one organism may guide another hours later. Scents move differently in water than in air. They disperse slowly, spreading in delicate gradients. For a fish, following a scent trail is like reading an invisible map. Sharks detect not only chemical cues, but also faint electrical pulses, sensing movement even when prey remains hidden beneath sand. Pause for a moment. Imagine the water around you filled with layered signals, chemical traces, vibrations, echoes, all unfolding gradually. Nothing rushes. Information spreads steadily, carried by current and time. Some animals glow more actively at night. Bioluminescent plankton flash when disturbed, turning breaking waves into soft blue arcs. Certain squid and fish produce patterned light pulses to communicate or confuse predators. In a world without sunlight, light becomes both shield and language. Far below, on the seafloor, scavengers move patiently across sediment plains. Organic fragments drifting down from above, sometimes called marine snow, provide nourishment in small but steady amounts. Even in apparent scarcity, life persists. Above you, the moon rises slowly. Its gravitational pull shapes tides, lifting and lowering entire coastlines. Marine organisms sensitive to lunar cycles time their reproduction accordingly. Coral spawning often aligns with specific moon phases, releasing synchronized clouds into warm waters. The moon becomes a silent partner in marine life. Let your breathing follow the rhythm of distant tides. Inhale gently as though lifted upward. Exhale slowly as though settling back into calm water. The ocean at night reveals its continuity. Surface waves roll quietly. Migrating organisms rise and fall. Deep currents maintain their ancient roots. Nothing halts entirely. Even sleep in the sea is adaptive. Dolphins rest one hemisphere of the brain at a time. Seals float at the surface, alert enough to breathe. Life does not switch off, it softens. You remain suspended between sky and depth, surrounded by movement too subtle to disturb. The stars above shimmer faintly. Below, unseen ridges and plains stretch outward. Somewhere in the distance, a whale's low call hums through water like a distant note held steady. The ocean does not sleep as we do. It shifts into different rhythms, quieter yet continuous. Stay here a little longer. Let the steady motion of tides, currents, and breathing merge into one calm pattern. We will drift onward, allowing the vastness of this layered world to settle gently into stillness. There is no rush. The sea continues. The night deepens, and the ocean settles into its most patient rhythm. Above you, the stars appear steady, though they are moving slowly across the sky. Below you, currents continue their ancient circulation, unseen but constant. The surface rises and falls in small, regular swells, like the calm breath of something vast and enduring. In this hour, the boundaries between layers feel softer. The surface no longer glitters with bright reflections. The twilight zone rests in shadow. The deep sea remains dark and steady. Yet all are connected by subtle exchange, nutrients drifting downward, organisms rising upward, heat moving quietly through water. Somewhere far below, hydrothermal vents continue releasing mineral-rich fluids into cold surroundings. Microbial communities cluster there, transforming chemical energy into life without ever seeing sunlight. Tube worms sway gently in rising currents. Shrimp gather near warmth in darkness that never lifts. Elsewhere, coral reefs sleep in a different way. Though the reef appears still at night, polyps extend delicate tentacles to feed. Tiny particles drifting past become nourishment. Even in apparent quiet, activity continues. Pause gently. Imagine the ocean as a vast web of slow movement, nothing hurried, nothing wasted. Each organism takes what it needs and releases what it does not. Energy shifts from one form to another, never entirely lost. Above, clouds drift across the moon. Wind brushes lightly over water. Beneath, whales may travel through dark corridors guided by memory and sound. Fish hover in protective groups. Plankton pulse faintly with bioluminescent sparks. The ocean's stability comes not from stillness, but from balance within motion. Let your breathing slow further. Inhale softly, imagining cool night air carrying the faint scent of salt. Exhale gradually, allowing tension to dissolve like a wave smoothing sand. We have followed marine life through sunlight, migration, sound, adaptation, climate, and night. Each layer revealed connection. Each depth held both mystery and order. The sea does not rush toward morning. It remains steady through darkness, just as it remains steady through light. If you could look down from high above Earth right now, you would see vast expanses of blue covering most of the planet's surface. Beneath that surface lies a layered world shaped by physics and life intertwined. And yet, here you float, quietly supported by water that has traveled across oceans, touched distant shores, and circled the globe in slow currents. There is comfort in that continuity. The ocean has always been in motion. It will remain so long after this quiet reflection fades. Rest here. Let the gentle rise and fall beneath you feel predictable and calm. We will drift a little further, allowing the rhythm of sea and breath to merge into deeper stillness.
A faint hint of morning begins to gather along the horizon. It is not yet bright, but the darkness is thinning. The ocean senses this change long before the sun appears fully. Subtle shifts in light begin to filter downward, touching surface waters first, then gradually reaching deeper layers. With dawn approaching, the great vertical migration begins to reverse. Small fish and drifting organisms that rose under cover of night slowly descend again towards safer depths. Predators adjust their patterns. Reef dwellers emerge cautiously from hiding places. The ocean transitions without announcement, following a rhythm older than memory. Imagine floating just below the surface as the first light stretches across the water. The sky moves from deep indigo to pale silver. The surface shimmers softly, no longer dark, but not yet bright. As sunlight strengthens, phytoplankton near the surface resume photosynthesis in full measure. Microscopic cells capture light, converting it into energy that will ripple through the food web. This daily renewal
forms the foundation of countless marine lives. Seabirds begin to circle above, scanning for fish drawn closer to the surface. Flying fish may break briefly into the air. Coastal tides shift steadily under the fading influence of night's lunar pull. The sea is awake again, though it was never truly asleep. Deep below, hydrothermal vents continue their steady release of minerals. Bioluminescent organisms dim as sunlight reaches upper layers. Currents remain constant, circulating heat and nutrients through invisible pathways. The transition from night to day feels gentle, almost seamless. Let your breathing follow this gradual brightening. Inhale slowly as though welcoming the first light. Exhale softly, releasing the last trace of darkness. Morning reveals texture, ripples on water, distant shapes of waves, subtle color returning to the surface. Blues grow brighter, silver shifts toward gold, the horizon becomes clearer. Yet beneath the surface, the layered system we explored remains intact. Coral reefs resume their daytime patterns. Schools of fish adjust depth. Whales may rise to breathe before beginning long migrations once more. The ocean continues its steady exchange between light and shadow, depth and surface. Above you now, the sun lifts fully, casting warmth across open water. Light penetrates in widening shafts, illuminating drifting particles like underwater dust suspended in calm air. There is reassurance in this return. Day follows night without urgency. Tides continue rising and falling. Currents maintain their paths. Life adapts and readjusts quietly. You remain floating, supported by something vast yet stable. The sea beneath you stretches across the globe, connecting distant continents through motion and time. As morning settles into brightness, allow yourself to feel carried by that continuity. The ocean has moved through countless dawns before this one. It will move through countless more. Rest here in the steady glow of new light, knowing the layered world below remains calm, balanced, and enduring.
Morning light now spreads fully across the ocean's surface. What was silver and pale has turned a clear, steady blue. Sunlight reaches downward in widening beams, illuminating suspended particles that drift lazily through the water column. From above, the sea may look simple, an open expanse of color. Yet beneath that surface, the layered world continues its quiet complexity. In daylight, many marine animals rely more heavily on vision. Reef fish display vibrant patterns that help identify species and signal territory. Bright yellows, blues, and oranges stand out in shallow tropical waters where sunlight remains strong. These colors, invisible in darkness, become tools for recognition and communication during the day. Predators, too, adjust to brighter conditions. Tuna and other swift swimmers patrol open water with heightened precision. Seabirds plunge from above, targeting fish visible near the surface. Yet even in activity, there is balance. Movement remains purposeful, not frantic. Pause softly. Imagine yourself suspended mid-water, sunlight warming the upper layers while deeper water remains cool and steady below. Above you, waves roll in gentle arcs. Below, the ocean gradually darkens with depth. Daylight also fuels coastal productivity.
In upwelling regions, winds push surface waters aside, allowing nutrient-rich deep water to rise. These nutrients stimulate plankton growth, which in turn supports fish, seabirds, and marine mammals. Such regions become centers of abundance shaped by invisible forces of wind and current. Coral reefs glow under sunlight. Polyps retract tentacles during the day, relying on their symbiotic algae for energy production. Fish weave between coral branches, and cleaner stations become active once more. Even marine mammals follow daily patterns. Dolphins may hunt cooperatively in daylight, using sight and echolocation together. Sea lions bask on rocks between feeding trips, balancing effort with rest. Yet beneath all visible motion, deeper currents persist unchanged. The thermocline, the boundary between warm surface water and colder depths, remains intact. Pressure continues increasing with depth. Deep-sea organisms remain adapted to darkness, unaffected by the brightness above. Let your breathing remain steady. Inhale gently, imagining the warmth of morning sunlight. Exhale slowly, releasing any remaining heaviness. The ocean does not divide itself sharply between night and day. It transitions gradually, each layer responding in its own way. Surface waters shimmer brightly, while deeper layers remain dim and calm. This coexistence of light and shadow reflects the structure of the sea itself, varied, layered, and interconnected. Above you, clouds drift slowly across blue sky. Beneath you, currents continue their steady pathways across basins and trenches. You float calmly between them, aware now of how each depth, each creature, and each cycle contributes to a single continuous system. The morning is clear. The ocean remains. We will drift onward toward the final reflections of this journey, carrying with us the quiet steadiness of the sea.
As the day settles into full brightness, the ocean appears wide and open once more. From above, it may seem uniform, a vast blue field stretching toward the horizon. But now you know what rests beneath that surface. Layered systems, drifting plankton, migrating whales, deep ridges, silent trenches, and living light hidden in darkness. The sea holds complexity without display. Currents continue tracing invisible routes between continents. Warm water travels poleward, cooler water returns at depth. Nutrients rise where winds allow. Tides pulse steadily under lunar guidance. Each motion blends into another, forming a system too large to perceive all at once. Pause gently. Imagine rising slightly higher, floating comfortably on the surface. The water supports you without effort. Beneath you, depth remains vast, yet steady. Even in daylight, the ocean's influence extends quietly beyond what you see. Coastal winds are shaped by differences in temperature between land and sea. Fog forms where cool currents meet warmer air. Rainfall patterns depend partly on evaporated seawater that has traveled across continents. Marine ecosystems continue their work without interruption. Schools of fish adjust direction as if guided by shared awareness. Reef communities balance competition and cooperation. Deep-sea organisms remain adapted to pressures that never ease. Time passes, yet the structure remains. Centuries ago, Currents followed similar paths. Tides rose and fell in familiar rhythm. Whales migrated along ancestral routes. The ocean's broad patterns persist through eras, even as individual species shift or evolve. Let your breathing mirror this steadiness. Inhale slowly, feeling supported. Exhale gently, releasing thought into open water. There is something reassuring in recognizing scale. Human concerns feel immediate, yet the ocean measures change in long cycles, in circulation loops that may take centuries, in coral growth layered over generations, in sediments settling grain by grain. The sea reminds us that not all motion is urgent. Some of the most powerful systems move quietly and gradually. Above you, the sky remains clear. Below you, depths continue in shadow. Around you, life flows in patterns refined through millions of years. You are floating within a system larger than any single moment. The waves lift and lower you softly. The horizon curves gently in every direction. There is no boundary to reach, no final edge. The ocean simply continues. As we near the final stretch of this journey, allow the sense of depth, motion, and connection to settle into calm awareness. Nothing demands action here. Only observation, only breath, only the steady presence of water that has circled the globe countless times before this day. Rest in that continuity. We will drift toward a final reflection soon, carried gently by light and tide. The sun now stands higher in the sky, and the ocean beneath you feels steady and bright. Waves roll in long, smooth patterns, rising and falling without urgency. From this vantage point, it might seem as though nothing dramatic is happening. Yet beneath the surface, countless exchanges continue quietly. Nutrients cycling, organisms feeding, currents shifting. The ocean rarely announces its complexity. It operates through accumulation rather than spectacle. A reef builds slowly over centuries. A migration repeats annually until it becomes tradition. A current follows the pull of physics across entire basins. Even the smallest plankton cell divides and multiplies without sound. The afternoon light begins to soften again, though the day is not yet ending. Time passes quietly over open water. The ocean does not mark hours the way we do. It moves through cycles, tides, currents, migrations, seasons, each unfolding at its own pace. You remain floating, aware now of how many layers exist beneath the calm surface. Below you, plankton continue transforming sunlight into energy. Fish adjust their depth in response to subtle temperature changes. Whales travel steady routes shaped by memory. Deep-sea organisms glow softly in darkness where sunlight never reaches. All of it continues without interruption. Feel the rise and fall beneath you. A wave lifts you slightly, then lowers you again. The motion is predictable, steady, reassuring. Marine systems function much the same way. There are fluctuations, but they occur within broader patterns of balance. Populations rise and fall. Temperatures shift gradually. Nutrients circulate from deep to shallow waters and back again.
Even the seafloor remains active in its own quiet manner. Tectonic plates move millimeter by millimeter, shaping ridges and trenches over vast stretches of time. Hydrothermal vents pulse steadily. Sediments settle grain by grain, recording history in layered deposits. Above you, seabirds glide across the surface, scanning for movement below. Coastal winds carry the scent of salt inland. Far away, storms gather strength from warm waters, shaping weather patterns across continents. The ocean's influence extends far beyond its visible edge. Let your breathing remain slow and even. Inhale gently, as though drawing in air shaped by distant waves. Exhale softly, releasing tension into open blue. You have traveled through light and shadow, sound and silence, migration and stillness. You have drifted past coral cities and deep trenches, followed currents across basins, and listened to the language of vibration beneath the waves. Now everything feels connected. There is no sharp boundary between surface and depth, between day and night, between motion and rest. The ocean blends transitions seamlessly. The horizon remains wide and calm. The water supports you without effort. Soon the day will tilt toward evening once more, and the great rhythms of migration and tide will repeat. The sea does not require endings. It cycles naturally from one state to another. Stay here for a moment longer. Feel the scale of what lies beneath you. Miles of layered water, intricate ecosystems, ancient circulation patterns. And yet, on the surface, there is only gentle motion. The ocean teaches patience. It teaches continuity. It teaches that complexity can exist quietly, without spectacle. As we approach the final reflection, allow yourself to settle deeper into calm awareness. The sea remains steady, and so does your breath.
Evening approaches once more, completing the quiet arc of our journey. The light begins to warm, turning from bright blue to softer gold. The surface glows gently, reflecting a sky preparing for another transition. Beneath you, the ocean remains layered and steady, unchanged in its deeper rhythms. You have drifted through its zones, from sunlit shallows to twilight depths, from coral reefs to open basins, from bioluminescent darkness to morning light. Each layer revealed a different expression of the same continuous system. The sea does not separate its stories. Plankton feed fish, fish feed whales, whales circulate nutrients, currents move heat, tides shape coastlines, microbes recycle matter, sound carries identity, light becomes energy, darkness becomes adaptation. Everything participates in exchange. Pause softly. Feel the gentle rise and fall beneath you once more. Notice how the motion no longer feels unfamiliar. It feels steady, predictable, almost comforting. Above you, the first stars may soon appear. Below you, countless organisms continue their quiet tasks. The ocean will shift again into night rhythms, vertical migrations rising upward, reef creatures emerging cautiously, deep sea lights flickering softly in darkness. Nothing stops, and that is the comfort.
Marine biology reveals complexity, but it also reveals continuity. Life adapts to pressure, to temperature, to light and shadow. Systems respond through balance rather than panic. Movement replaces stagnation. Cycles replace abrupt endings. Let your breathing slow even further. Inhale gently, as though drawing in the last warmth of fading daylight. Exhale slowly, releasing any lingering tension into calm water. The ocean has existed through ice ages, continental shifts, and countless dawns and dusks. It will continue long after this moment. Its currents will flow. Its tides will rise and fall. Its smallest cells will keep turning light into breath. You have floated through its layered world, observing without disturbing, drifting without effort. Now, as evening deepens, allow the vastness beneath you to feel reassuring rather than overwhelming. Beneath every surface wave lies structure. Beneath every change lies rhythm. The horizon darkens softly. Stars begin to reflect in the water. The sea remains steady, and you remain supported. There is nothing more to explore tonight. No deeper descent required, only the gentle understanding that the ocean continues, vast, patient, interconnected. Let yourself settle into that continuity. Feel the slow movement beneath you merge with the rhythm of your breath. The tides will return, the currents will circulate, light will fade and rise again. For now, simply rest, floating calmly on the surface of a living, breathing world that never truly sleeps. The ocean holds its quiet patterns, and you can drift peacefully within them.